Hello, sweet souls. My name is Celeste, and I feel called to do this video. I'm doing one shot, so bear with me if there's any mess ups or screw ups or delays or pauses. I haven't done a video, I believe, in almost 9 years where I'm speaking. 9 years ago would have been my Jesus video, if any of you have seen it. It's on my YouTube page. So, forewarning, I'm going to be authentically myself today. And I do apologize if I say a few cuss words. I'm being me, and I think that's how we all should be. So I feel God has put on my heart to make this video to help spread love in the world and to help others. It's what I feel called to do. Some of you who know me or follow me on Facebook are probably curious a little bit why I cut all my hair off. And New Year's Eve, I received some news that I wasn't enough for someone. And I've been in a relationship for the last 4.5 years. Someone I deeply love, even though our time has come to an end, that due to certain events, it's radically shaken my week, to say the least. And although there's been a lot of hurt and pain there, at the same time, it's forcing me to come out of my comfort zone and to truly go for my purpose, what I feel I'm meant to do. So, I'm going to do my best to talk about some things I've learned through the years after going through a lot. And I want to talk about this. There's going to be quite a few things. So if you have, a snack or tea, water, I don't know, pour a glass of wine, drink a beer, pour vodka, whatever you want to do. Not that I'm encouraging drinking, just I'm going to make this video fun because I want it to show who I am and my personality. And sorry, I'm a little stiff right now. I'm a little nervous. But I feel like I have some really beautiful, I guess you would say, nuggets of wisdom to my friends. I call myself Baby Yoda. Even though I don't, I haven't really seen Mandalorian. I think I actually haven't seen the full video with Baby Yoda, so maybe I'm middle-aged Yoda. And so I want to share some things that have really been put on my heart to share with people, no matter what age, no matter what you've been through. And I'm kind of starting with my relationship and talking about self-worth. When someone hurts us, it makes us not feel worthy. And at the same time, you almost have to change your perspective, even though it's easier said than done. But, it's like so many people, I have a lot of friends and people who know me, they're like, how are you friends with all your exes? I'm like, well, there's a few that probably they won't talk with me, but that's okay. I wish them no harm. But, it's like I've been divorced 13, 14 years, and, I hurt the person I was married with, the father of my child, who is dear to me, and I love him because he's the father of my child. Even though we did not work out, we have to learn to pull our ego out of relationships, you know, even if it's friendships or parenting. But I try to think of even my current relationship that has just ended after 4.5 years. I can't hate someone for their insecurities, you know, that happen to get projected onto our relationship. But it's like my ex-husband, like at one time we were crazy in love. And when we did get together, I wasn't in a good place. I had just I had actually gone out of a marriage to someone who was much older. He was an alcoholic and had threatened to commit suicide 4 different times. And when I got out of that, I was a hot mess. You know, I tried to just sweep everything under the rug like nothing happened. And then, of course, you know, history repeats itself. If you don't take the time to be alone and truly start healing what is bothering you, you're going to just keep attracting, and you've got trauma bonding. So I think that's very common in a lot of relationships. And I had that with this past almost current relationship is he was going through a divorce, which is hilarious. I like have this rule after so long. I was like, I'm not going to date anyone who's going through a divorce. Like, oh, that's a whole nother ordeal. But of course, this person was so gentle and kind and loving, and ironically, I'd met through Facebook talking about book publishing. And from there, we just met, and I quickly figured out I see a lot of detail. After we met, I mean, obviously we had communicated for a while through telephone before we met, and at the time my mom was dying of cancer, and so we were kind of just each other's therapist, you know, someone to lean on. Again, trauma bonding. And so I had gotten out of a long relationship that was really, really hard to let go of, and especially too because that was like a family I was walking away from, and here my mom's about to die, so it was just this. It was hard, and my partner, his divorce was just nasty. But you know, after we met and hadn't planned on dating at all, we just became friends. And I noticed something. He had a slight tremor, and I on the phone I said, "Hey, do you have Parkinson's?" And he got really quiet, and he just he started crying on the phone, and he said, "How did you know?" I said, "Well, I over noticed detail. Probably from being a portrait artist, it's almost a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I just said I saw a tiny tremor, and I said the cool thing is I've been studying kind of like different ways of healing. And I think I can help you." And, you know, he was afraid no one would ever love him again. And even though, you know, everyone hears the word Parkinson's, and, you know, we've watched the Michael J. Fox, and I cry because we've, you know, there's things we've been through the last 4.5 years that just kind of trigger certain moments. But what was neat though is I had been studying probably the last 3 years just on my own. I wanted to know why there's so much illness. Why? What was it? At the time, I'd been doing I think 10 years in the salon. I remember one day, and it was early on when I started doing hair. I had 5 clients, and 4 out of the 5, either a sister had breast cancer, they just got diagnosed with breast cancer. The mom was dying of breast cancer, and it just, that was a really heavy day. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a nurse or a doctor, but you know, when you do hair, you're in people's energy field. You know, you're touching them, And just kind of taking on that sadness and pain. I remember I got in my car and I just cried. I bawled my eyes out. And I remember that moment too, realizing I had to put a protective shield kind of around my emotions to be able to block it out. But also just this, like, why are there so many illnesses and problems here? And at one time too, I'm eventually going to write my book, and I'll put a lot more detail into everything I talk about. But one time my body was breaking down. I went through a lot in my 20s, and I had like no self-worth. I was ashamed of a lot of things, but I remember there were so many things I'm just like, this has to be my emotions affecting my body. Like, all the shit I've been through has to be what's coming out, because I was getting to where I couldn't walk or get out of bed. That they did an x-ray on my spine, and they said I had the beginning of spinal stenosis, and there wasn't much you could do about it. And from that moment, I want to say I just turned 30, it just kind of threw me into really starting to want to learn more about, say, natural healing, or how can I shift my brain. So I started studying, I started reading a lot on Joe Dispenza. I'm a big fan of him. I love Bruce Lipton, who talks about age 0 to 7, our what we're taught from our parents or our environment kind of shapes who we're kind of like the structure of what the rest of our years are going to be, unless some life-changing event happens. But, and Tony Robbins calls it your blueprint. If you truly want to change, you have to change your blueprint, or, start finding ways to adjust, and I want to say like micro little ways. So going back, sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Going back to my partner in Parkinson's, I said, you know what, let me kind of just start working with you. And it was really great because at the time he was like super hopeful, and I loved how much faith and hope he had in me, because I remember the person I was with before him, his father was a quadriplegic. And I remember so many times just feeling helpless. And if you've spent time around someone who just basically can't do anything for themselves, it will completely make you look at life very, very differently. And so I've always, ever since those years of being around Mitchell, I remember at times I wanted to start loving my body. And this is something you can do. It's like you put your hand over your heart and close your eyes, and you just say, thank you, heart. Like, thank you for beating today. Thank you. Like, thank you for helping me wake up this morning. Thank you for another day. And then, like, I do it over my eyes, and I'm like, thank you for giving, like, thank you, eyes. Yes, of course, I thank God for my health. At the same time, we're never taught to really get in touch with our own body. And honestly, I feel like that's where it should start, because the more we're in tune with ourselves, the more we can kind of start understanding where we're at in our life. But especially too, if you have a lot of guilt or shame or embarrassment, like, it's hard to do that. It's hard to say, oh, I love you, I love myself, and that's why people try to get you to do that. If you haven't worked on healing, like, that shit's gonna go right out the door. And so back to my partner, I said, let's try to like work on some stuff. And so we I don't know. There was just so much that I actually started helping him with his handwriting and giving him confidence. And before, because when I met him, he was in tier program, and his, I want to say, his physical therapy was like 5 out of 10 on agilities, handwriting, a lot of things. And I kind of was trying to help with his mindset. I was like, okay, before you start to write, why don't you close your eyes for 3 seconds and put yourself at your most favorite place, like your happy place. Some people, it's the mountains. A lot of times mine's the beach. I love being by the ocean and just kind of closing my eyes and doing a deep breath and letting all those nerves. And, I feel like you can apply this to anything. When you're nervous, I just kind of like take that time. And also, too, like if you're angry. Yeah, I did want to add this today because I was thinking about it on my drive here. Really, I'm jumping all over the place, but I promise there's a really great, I will go full circle. So, okay, any of y'all are parents or have teenagers? Oh my God. I guess the new term is like rage baiting. Anyways, I have a 16-year-old. And like I said, I've been divorced for 14 years, and we're together a lot. I'm kind of a single mom, but yes, my ex-husband's very much there. And so we butt heads. We're like sisters half the time, and it's something I've been working on this year. And I feel like the same thing. It's like kind of getting your brain and emotions into this better space of calming, and so. She would go, she's like literally, or like we're both on her period or something. We're just like, ah. And I finally, I kid you not, try this sometime with your kids. You can do it with your parents. You can do it with your spouse, whatever. Just like as soon as you feel those emotions and you want to like rage back, just stop. Okay, I kid you not. Like think of the monkey from... I think it starts with R. I can't remember his name. But think of the monkey in The Lion King. And remember, or like a little Buddha, figurine. But it's just kind of like I just kind of like put my hands like this. And I close my eyes and I take a deep breath. And I have to count to almost like 5-10 seconds in my head. But I'm also holding because I kind of want to like, Argh! But it like forces me to like calm myself. So I just go, and I sit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I kid you not, just like that 5 seconds, I'm not like going to regret that rage beige back because I am the adult. Like they're teenagers. They're going to do that because trust me, we all were the same that way. We're like that when we're toddlers. So it's one of those, do this. Whether you're stressed, because we are on the whole line of anxiety, stress, but or anger, no matter who you're with, any situation. You can be in the store shopping. Obviously, you don't quite do this if you're driving and someone cuts you off. I know we secretly want to be like, but no, don't do that. Or just, I don't know, maybe one hand. But you know what I mean. So just kind of, And what's the best part is my daughter is now used to me doing it, that she knows I'm trying not to kill her in the moment. So it kind of like forces her to be like, oh, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. So just like do that, okay? So just like, and see right now that just like made me feel better to talk on this video. So anyways, going back to my partner, when we were working on his handwriting and I was trying to gain his confidence in writing, we would sit there because, especially too, say not necessarily like have a trimmer because his trimmer was very a slow progress. The anxiety of knowing you have this problem, I feel like it just intensifies your nerves. It's kind of like before like we have to take a test. We may be prepared, but just that anxiety, like, woo. But it's funny, like when we're there and do it, it's like, oh, this wasn't so bad after all. So just that anticipation. So when we were working on his handwriting, every time we just kind of worked on like, oh, okay, like take a deep breath. Like it's okay to pause. And maybe that's something we all need to practice a little more, because yes, like life is fast. Like I never realized when all my friends said that when your kid starts high school, it just like poof, it flies by. And I'm like, oh, they weren't lying. And especially too, like after you have a kid, like life just starts going like really, really fast. So I'm constantly always trying to like, okay, tone it down just a little bit, bring it back. But I was working with that with my partner, and it was interesting because we could actually see results. And I said, apply that before you do your other test. And I'm a big believer in visualizing almost an outcome, whether it's going to turn like that, it can kind of help get you in the right mindset. One of my old softball coaches, Mark Fobian, I love you if you're watching this, one of my favorite, but he always used to tell me that, most of sports is like 80% mental, 20%, the actual physical work. And it was so true. I remember in college, like we were doing this, what do you call it? Coach is throwing the balls at us, drill. And he was saying how many people could hit a line drive back in at the screen. And I remember I applied what Mark said to me, and I was like, okay, like, I was just like, I got this. Like, I was like, all right. I visualized myself just every time hitting. And I kid you not, I did 3 in a row. I was like, wow, that was awesome. So there's so many things in life I have applied that to. And also too, because I'm just gonna I'm throwing in little nuggets as I'm talking about stuff. This is really, really great. And for any of you who travel, or you have something like unexpected, you don't know how it's gonna go, or even a party, whatever it is, or a date, I don't know, whatever you can want to apply this to, or say a job interview. I feel like this is going to resonate with you, whether, take away whatever I say if it resonates. If not, don't worry about it. Watch the next video. So I did this for going to Kansas. And this is going back to the mental part. And what I loved, I was really nervous. I was about to go do just this wild little road trip and meet different people. And after, this was also me, had been working on studying and working on retraining my brain. And I just said, I'm going to have the most amazing trip. And I said, I'm going to meet the most amazing people. And I kid you not, it took me 11 and a half hours to get there one day. I was so tired. But I was still very optimistic. And I remember I go to this little restaurant. It was about to close down. I'm in Leavenworth, Kansas, this tiny little town. And I pulled into this restaurant, and I think there was 30 minutes left. I was so hungry, so I sat at the bar, and these 2 women come over, and they're like, oh my God, I love your purse. And I kid you not, from that, they were like, oh my gosh, it was Teresa and who was it? I can't remember the other. But that night, I ended up going to the bar with them, and the next day I did my photography, and then I met back for dinner, and I met more people from that town. And ironically, I went back, I think 6 weeks later, because I became friends with all of them. And I swear it was because I put that mindset before I went that was like, I'm going to make this a really great trip. And in my mind, I never, yes, it's easy to get sidetracked, but I really, really worked on just constantly changing my perspective back to that positivity. And I do that so much. My ex-husband calls me positive Patty. And I, to a fault, I'm almost overly positive, but I think it's because I've been through so much that, we're all human. We are all human. And it's hard. It's hard to be a soul, come in this human body, know what everything is about and our if our parents are unhealed, that trickles down, and we have generational curses we have to battle, and there's so much that it's kind of hard. It's hard to be human. And so often when I'm trying to get through life, I'm like trying to tap into my soul more. Like, all right, let's try to figure this out. But like, and constantly trying to get back to that more positive mindset, because it is easy. It's easy to be more negative. You know, we're surrounded with negativity all day long. You know, I stopped watching the news probably 10 years ago, and I don't miss it. But going back to my partner and the Parkinson's, so it was really crazy. He started applying that mindset to when he would go to TIR, and the coolest thing ever, I kid you not, after a couple weeks, like his numbers started going up from 510 to like on agilities and handwriting, they went to, it was like 8 out of 10 and then 10 out of 10. I believe it was like 3 sessions in a row, to the point, you know, the staff working there, nurses, they're like, what are you doing? And he would say my name, and I was like, well, I said, but it's also too, I was like, I gave you hope to believe in yourself. And when you start believing in yourself, you truly and radically can start changing your life around. And it was really cool. They actually kicked him out of TIR at the time. And that was really cool. So they ended up measuring his dopamine. And I remember we were at Baylor Medical. And the second head top doctors there was just like, this doesn't happen with Parkinson's. And of course, you know, some people say it was love, but I said also too, I was helping him believe in himself. So they actually like took his blood, and the results came back a week later, and his dopamine levels had gone up, I believe it was 36%. And the doctor was like, no, this like does not happen. And so actually the doctor ordered another blood test. I want to say it was the following week, but this time, because he thought like the nurse had messed up, he had, he was in the room while the nurse did 2 sets or 2 samples, and it had actually gone up another to 37, I believe, %. And they're just like, this doesn't happen with someone with Parkinson's. And I tell that moment because that moment eventually faded because life got in the way. And it is very hard to keep a positive attitude all the time, because there's always going to be something that's going to tear us down, or a friend, or a coworker or boss, or family member, that we're going to be battling this negativity, and it's almost like you have to do a reset to start over sometimes. But I was sad because my partners and my spiritual backgrounds are very different, and that was kind of it was a challenge in our relationship. And he grew up very Baptist, a grandfather that was a pastor, his father was a pastor, and then he taught Bible study for 20 years. And that was one thing I actually really fell in love with him, his love for God. And he, oh my gosh, he was great. I loved hearing him in his sermons. He's gifted. And the only thing is my spiritual background, and that's why I'm super excited to talk about it right now, because I feel like I've never gotten to do this. So excited. So, you know what I'm calling today? I'm calling today Freedom Friday. So, I love my mom. She's been gone for years. She'll always be one of my best friends. I know she's always with me. But my mom, for years, always made sure I kind of hid this side of me. And so, ironically, she died 4 years ago, and then the last 4 years I've kept my spiritual side very quiet because of my relationship. So this past week, when there has been closure, I realized I got to come out of my cage. And that is why I'm doing this video. I believe so. Because it's freeing. And you know what I'm going to call Freedom Friday? Because maybe on Fridays you can start loving a part of you that maybe you've had to hide or I don't know. You'll know what it is, but this is my Friday Freedom or Freedom Friday. I'll eventually figure out a term. I'll make a hashtag out of it. There may be something out there like it, but what I love is when so obviously my name is Celeste. I came into this world. So everyone has actually the gift of, I feel like tapping into a spiritual side. Some, I do believe, come into the world maybe a little bit more enhanced, maybe could be the word you say. But when I was about 4 or 5, I saw my grandfathers in spirit, and I could speak to them. They were very clear. It was almost like the movie Sixth Sense. They were full-blown in their regular clothes, and I thought they were there. They would just drop in real fast and leave. And I remember seeing my grandfather at his funeral. And I remember we were outside, and I'm sitting next to I remember my mom, like, to the left of me, and I remember, like, the casket's there. We're at the burial site, and I look to the right, and I see my grandfather in a robe, and I see 2 angels come down, and they're on either side of him, and I'm like, Mom, why are people upset or crying? I was like, people's, like, right there. Of course, I'm little. My mom's like, shh, you know, like, Celeste, shh, be quiet, like, you know, because I thought everyone could see that, you know, and I still have that image to this day, exactly. And I remember my mom eventually asked me, she's like, what do angels look like? You know, is it a man or a woman? And I said, no, it's not a man or woman. It's an angel, because a lot of times they almost look like they're both. And I remember they were so beautiful. It was just pure white light. And I know those experiences really kind of shaped how I view death, because I know death is never an ending. But shortly around that time, I was able to see auras around people. I could see, of course, this generation and their usage for the word aura is, yeah, okay. Their lingo is something else. So, but your aura or your energy field, I have my Reiki Master certification. I love doing energy work. But, you know, it's something I wish we talked more about, but we do. We have this field of energy around us. And when I was little, I could, you know, there's different colors that I could see exactly what someone was feeling. I remember one day my mom and I were sitting at a restaurant, and I saw this red all around her, and I was like, Mommy, why are you mad? And she's like, how did you know I was mad? I'm like, because there's red all around you. So from those days, my mom did this. And I love my mom. She was a beautiful human being. She had a beautiful soul. I do believe she had so much, she was unhealed her whole life that, you know, a big part of her just kind of wanted this perfection most of my life. That it's probably why, like, if you ever see me out in public, I look homeless. Like, I seriously wear crappy, like, sweatpants with paint and, like, covered on them and a ball cap. Like, I just don't care, because so much was, like, you know, my grandmother was very vain. My mom was for a long time, and I just, it's not me. Nah, yeah, don't let this fool you. So, but anyways, my mom became a helicopter mom. And I remember just, like, I always felt like the weird kid, even though you would have never known it. But I was always super sensitive. I've been oh my gosh, I'm an old soul. I'm an empath, too much of an empath at times. And it's taken me a lot of years to kind of try to reel that empathic side of me back to not where I overfeel, but just kind of this control most of my life, and I never could talk about my spiritual side. And as the years went on, for most children, it shuts down because it's almost like that purity and innocence is gone, because of the world gets noisy. And then when that noise gets in your head, it kind of pushes all the spiritual side out. And the same thing as an adult. When you meditate and you can quiet the mind, that's when you hear spirits, when you hear your angels and God talk with you. But it's very hard, very, very, very hard to do. But having my mom that way, I remember my senior year of high school. My high school boyfriend and I had broken up beforehand. He was a year older, and I remember starting that first day of school, I was just like, I felt really lonely. And that year, my high school softball coach, what is this? It was just awful to me. He was bad. And I remember begging my parents. Sorry, this is really heavy. Even years later, this is heavy. I remember begging my parents to let me quit softball. Even though I'd played since I was 5 years old, played every sport growing up, played too much. Sports was too much of my life. And, of course, always got the rickerts don't quit. When you're an only child, there's shitload of pressure to be the perfect kid. Ooh. And I always hated that pressure, but it was there, and you'd go along with it. But it was just like, no, you're not quitting. And it got worse. And I remember, high school boyfriend's not there anymore. I don't have my parents. And this coach was just being awful. That I ran into like an old junior high coach. And, after some time, kind of reeled me in. And it was one of those, I was so desperate for someone to understand what I was going through. And I was 17 at the time. And this person was like, oh, you can tell me everything, like, yeah, I understand why you're upset, all this stuff. And it was kind of like gave me a hand and ear to listen to. And as probably a couple weeks went by, he finally said, oh, meet me at the park. And I'm like, okay. Met him at the park. I remember he kissed me the second I got there. And I was shaking. I was shaking for an hour and a half at that park. And I remember sitting back in my car. I really wanted to tell my mom because I knew it was wrong. For the most part, always been a really good kid. And I was so afraid to lose the one person who I could vent to and talk to. And as much as it was like literally like that angel and devil sitting on your shoulder. And I remember I knew what was right and what was wrong. And everyone loved this coach. I believe he was even the youth pastor at the time at his church. I didn't turn him in. And slowly, as a few weeks went by, he came to my softball games, would sit next to my parents. We would leave cards on my car at night. And I remember, I don't know how, like, the whole thing happened in a very short amount of time. But his coach was also having another affair with a junior high teacher. And somehow she found a letter I wrote him and turned it into the junior high principal, which is funny because the principal of the junior high was one of my dear friends at the time's father. So he had to call my parents, and the crazy thing is that morning, that coach that had come on to me told me it was all his fault and that he was going to be honest, and he was just like, I'm sorry, I always will care about you. And that afternoon, of course, I get a phone call from my parents, and they're about borderline ready to murder me. So I go home, and Joe, the principal, comes over, and Celeste, he's like, I'm really sorry, but he's like, you know, this person completely said that you were the one to blame, and it's all your fault. And I just sat there. I was like, wow. And I said, and he goes, I have no proof. He goes, all I have is the letter you wrote. And obviously it was loving, kind, and it may have been slightly sexual. We never had sex, and it was one of those, I told Joe, I said, I have all the proof you need. And I go in my bedroom, and I pull out 3 cards, and I go back, and I hand Joe the cards. My parents look at it, and he's livid. So obviously that coach had to resign from teaching within 24 hours, I think. And they asked if we wanted to press charges, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, I was like, I want it to all go away. Because I was so hurt, and then at the same time, I was in so much trouble with my parents. They took my car away, took my phone away, my laptop, and at the time, we were still in softball season, and I think we were in the playoffs. And I want to say a week or 2 later, we lost the game in one of the quarterfinals or something. And I remember shortly from the time that I want to say it was a good 2 weeks about the whole coach thing. What really sucked is the next day at school, a counselor brought me in and was like, could you be pregnant? And I was like, what? That was awful. So, and then I just got horrible looks in school because people found out, and it was just like, oh my God, I was so ashamed of myself. Like, how could I have let someone do that? And fast forward, after we lost the game, my final senior softball game, coach brought me into evaluations that day. I'll never forget, I was already so broken. I had become bulimic after the coach thing. I secretly would sneak off to the softball restrooms and would throw up every day. Until I basically had like bile coming up. And I would just sit in the kitchen, bite myself. And there was multiple times I would hold a knife to my wrist, and I wanted to just end my life really bad. Because I was so ashamed. I'd always been this like really great kid, and then when you're the only kid, and you royally fuck up, it's hard. Especially too because no one wants to sit with you in that pain. That softball coach, which everyone knows exactly who I'm talking about. I remember we sat there. He said, "Celeste, as a friend, I'll always be here for you. Always be here for you. But as a coach, he said, that shit you pulled with the other coach is the reason why we lost the game in the playoffs. Said, I hope my daughter, because I used to babysit his kids at one time, he said, I hope my daughter grows up to be nothing like you. You're lucky to have a scholarship in college, because if I was your coach and I found out about this, I would rip your scholarship from you. And when you're 17 and you're lost in life and you're already suicidal and you hate yourself so much, to have another authority figure who, like, both coaches I looked up to at one time, just like make you feel smaller than small. It was awful. He told me just some of the worst things that you could ever tell a player. And that was hard. I was in fucking darkness. And my parents put me through 3 counselors that summer. And eventually I had my gallbladder removed and went right back into college ball. And honestly, from 17 till the age 30, I made a lot of mistakes. And I didn't love myself, that I constantly was searching love in relationships and other people. For a while, I hated men. I dated girls. And at age 20, 21, I met a woman who was absolutely sweet, loving, kind to me, who I fell for. We dated for a long time. Eventually, my parents found out about that and were about ready to disown me. And so I basically had to cut all of that off and meet my parents at church, because they were helping pay for everything. I had to meet my parents at church every Sunday and get rebaptized with them. And shortly after that, I'd meet a man who I knew my parents didn't quite approve of, because he was almost my dad's age, and kept wanting to date me. And I knew he came into my life for a reason. I knew there was a reason, but he ended up being. We eventually would get married, and he ended up being a bad alcoholic and threatening to commit suicide 4 different times if I left. And I, shortly after I got out of that relationship, I eventually would meet the father of my kid and jump right back into the same cycle of trying to find someone else to give me the love I needed. It was just this constant cycle I kept repeating. And it wasn't until I was 30 I really had to start, when my body was breaking down, I had to start looking at the big picture. And I realized those 12 years were just, I played the victim. Like, I lived in this victim mentality. Like, it's almost a trigger when I hear someone says, like, oh, you're playing a victim. Like, oh, I hate that word. But I remember I decided my 20s was such a clusterfuck that when I turned 30, I was going to make the rest of my life the best of my life. And I started doing that. And started kind of tapping back into my old spiritual side. And I started taking a class on laying of the hands healing. It's something I absolutely love doing. supposedly my great-grandmother, she was a healer, and my mom and grandmother, I was kind of raised being taught, laying of the hands, and, you prayed for God to work in and through you. And I kept feeling this calling that I had to find myself. And it first started with my high school softball coach. I wrote a letter. I had written a letter out of love, forgiving him for how he had treated me. And the really funny part about all of that, I told my mom for years. I said, Mom, I was like, he will never win state until he apologizes to me. And I wrote that letter, and he was able to get it. And I met up with him, and I remember he gave me a hug, and he said, I'm so sorry how he treated you. And he said he didn't deserve that. And I said, thank you. And it was strange. I didn't cry. I would have thought I cried, but... And I was grateful. So, ironically, that happened in the fall, and that following spring, he won state, and I was actually happy for him. I was able to get my closure with him, and I know others haven't, but that's what they have to do. But for myself, I was grateful. So that was kind of like my first step on my, it was like my spiritual awakening, on my beginning of healing. And, sorry, that was a lot to release. So from there, I really started learning about Joe Dispenza. I may name quite a few people that y'all have heard of, and so he was a chiropractor who was hit in a triathlon, and I believe he broke like 22 parts like in his vertebrae, so he'd never walk again. And so he goes around talking how you have to retrain your brain. He actually, I like this one. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Big fan. And also Gregg Braden. I love Gregg Braden. He really talks about the heart-brain connection. Love him. I love Tony Robbins, which is really crazy. My mom actually walked like on the coal fire with him at one time. I love Bruce Lipton. Let's see. I don't think I've ever... I love Esther Hicks. Esther Hicks is great. She actually channels... if you're into mediumship or channeling, don't be opposed to it. Like, that's a hard thing. When we're raised with our parents actually ingrained so much of our belief system. Like Bruce Lipton talks about from age, here it is, the biology of belief. He really talks about ages 0 to 7 is what kind of creates your thought process. And that's a great one to study. Gabrielle Bernstein. Oh my gosh, this is a book. I'm sorry, I take off all the thingies, but I love it. It's Super Attractor by Gabrielle Bernstein, and I believe she has a audiobook, but her book changed my life probably 6 years ago. And to really, Wayne Dyer. I love Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer's passed quite a few years back, but you can still listen to his teachings, And who else? There's just so many. Also, I want to recommend this book. I'm going to write all of this in the bottom, but Into the Magic Shop by Dr. James Doty. This is a great, great book. Love this book. Really interesting. That's my feel-good book. But these just, it all really started shaping my perspective and truly trying to change how to think differently. Especially, too, we have to be mindful of the words we put out, especially, it's like you know someone probably in your life that's always like, oh, I'm sick. They're always talking about like their illness, or posting it. And honestly, the more you talk about that, the body's gonna really start believing and start manifesting more. Like, I'm always curious about this. Obviously, do not want to do this test, but I'm curious. Take a very healthy person, tell them they have stage 4 cancer, and see how fast the body starts breaking down. Never wish that on anybody, but so it's one of those. I really started diving into the healing world, and so much what I've learned. I honestly have not had health insurance for the last, I believe, 6 years, which most everyone doesn't know that. Surprise! Because I've learned how to train my brain to be healthy. Actually, when I did get COVID, I'm a huge believer in parasite zappers. That's another thing that's really great to look up. It's just like this whole thing. You just get to electrocute yourself. And okay, I think it's with a 9-volt, but people forget we have parasites on our body, especially if you have animals or anyone in the vet world. If you're or farming, ranching, where you're around a lot of animals, you're going to be way more susceptible to getting parasites. Or go out and buy some dog dewormer. I'm so guilty of doing that, but by golly, you'll get a great cleanse from it. But sorry, this has been a lot. So that's something I have learned when something in my body's not great. Okay, so for instance, this is really great. I want y'all all to try this. Especially kids. You know why kids get sick a lot too? Yes, there are germs. You're going to get sick for other reasons too. But if you ever get a really bad sore throat, a lot of times that is emotions sitting right here. It's kind of like, like when it hurts, like you're like, or even when you're nervous or you don't want to say something, your emotions, this is your throat chakra right here. Those emotions sit there. And I have found to actually get rid of a sore throat, sometimes, yes, if you're super sick, go see a doctor, or antibiotics, totally get that. But sometimes try, if it's not bad, say like a common cold or something, practice looking within and seeing what is emotionally bothering you. Like, what are you not being able to see? Or say, what are you not able to communicate? Or what emotions are you feeling? Because I have found when I have a really bad sore throat, it's usually because I need to release emotions too. And to the point I almost get angry because I'm like, I'm happy in my life. Like, I don't need to cry, but I know if I force myself to cry, it actually will relieve the tension in the throat. So a lot of times when I know I need to get like a really good cry, like if I have that sore throat, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to force myself to cry. I go in the shower and I think of a really painful like childhood memory or something that just like kind of hits me wrong. And I will cry hard, and I kid you not, usually it's interesting. You'll kind of start feeling the tension and relief. And so I do believe probably that's why a lot of kids get sick or strep, because a lot of times kids, we're not allowed to voice what we want to voice because there's a lot of authority over children. And that is something just really be mindful of. And another thing I really want to tap into, it's kind of another reason why I cut all my hair off. And I've really been tapping into my inner child. And I realize, we can go to therapy. how do I say this? We can talk and talk, but at the same time, I find if we find ways to pour love into ourselves, that, how do I say this? If we can start pouring love into ourselves, like, we just become better and healthier. That's something I've been working on recently. I feel like I'm totally skipping something right now. I'll go back. My little ADD mind. So it's funny. I started buying Play-Doh. Because the more we just kind of start, I feel like so many of us, we have childhood wounds without really knowing it. It's like my parents were unhealthy because they both had childhood wounds that never got resolved. And it's something I feel is important. And especially too, I love it revolving around like creativity. But kind of maybe it's working on your inner child, but also maybe working on your self-worth. I feel like it's all tied together. And maybe it's just loving yourself, like loving, yourself, and maybe you miss the kid you were before all the shitty stuff, life events that happened to you, so maybe that's what it is. And I don't know why, at what age does someone say like, oh, you need to put your teddy bear away, oh, you need to stop using crayons, or it's just like, can we just like normalize kind of like tapping back into it? Like I love dinosaurs. And you know what I did, and especially too this past week, obviously my partner's not at home, and we're separating, and I sometimes I just hate sleeping alone. It's been quiet, so what did I do? I went and bought a stuffed animal. I'm like, oh, you know what's weird? If you just like, have y'all ever noticed if you just grab a stuffed animal and you're just like, oh, it's like all the weight of the world just leaves you. Because especially as we get older, I have this theory why people go and have these, or not go, why people have these midlife crises. And because the older we get, the more we're forced to be like, more adulting, or like our coaches, our teachers, our inspirations, the grandparents, they all start passing away. They're going away, and even parents. And so by the time when you get older, you honestly have no one encouraging you. Because I realized that with my partner, one time he was just like, it really sucks running a company, and you're always required, everyone, this obligation to make sure everyone is okay and everything's running smoothly. But he's like, I rarely have someone that's just like, hey, how are you? Like, are you holding up okay? And I was seeing that like worn on him, especially when he would teach like Bible study. I think about pastors and preachers all the time. You have this kind of this pressure to like always be on your best. But, as we get older, our encouragers and influencers, they go away. And that was one thing I learned after my mom passed. And my dad kind of had to go create a life for himself, is in that moment of feeling completely isolated. I remember reading an article, and it said you have to become, and this is because I had a loving mother. I feel like people who had really crummy mothers, that this isn't going to resonate with you. But because I had a very loving mother who was always like, she was my number one art fan. That's why I couldn't draw or paint a good year after she passed because it was like my inspiration went away. That was so hard. And so I read this article and was like, you have to become your greatest cheerleader. And I remember when I read that, I thought that was so profound. I was like, wow, like, that's so good. And I realized I had to like become my own best friend. And obviously I've done it multiple times in my life. That's probably why I'm still standing here after a lot I've been through. But when kind of like what I'm going back to the beginning, I constantly looked for love and happiness in a partner instead of looking within. And Mom's death really forced me to start looking within and to really start to heal my heart and be my own encourager, so that no matter what age I am from here on out, like, I'm good. Now, obviously, it's awesome to have great friends, or people in our life that encourage us. That's always important to have. But for the most part, especially if going into a relationship, like, if you're not full with yourself, by golly, you are not going to get full with someone else. So that's something I really have had to work on the last 4 years. And that's one thing I am so grateful my partner was on that journey, helping me and allowed me to get help. And I even went back to school last year. Of course, I didn't go back this year, but I was going back to finish my degree because I dropped out my senior year, and I changed to psychology. And a big part is, like, I've done art for 22 years, and so many people are like, why don't you do your art? Like, y'all, ask any artist. Ask any art. It is so hard to make a living being an artist. I'm sorry. It is hard, especially you've got Hobby Lobby, very different, the art world. You don't have people collecting like you used to. So it was very hard. I couldn't make a living doing art and doing hair. I really didn't want to be a hairstylist. I was kind of forced to do it when my daughter was 15 months old, and my ex-husband, or her dad and I separated. It was hard with a baby. I had to figure out a career real fast. So hair came easy to me. So I did that. And then after my mom died and all her clients started coming to me, they would just walk in and look at me and just start bawling. And I was like, this is awful. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And thankfully my partner was able to financially support me and be able to get out of that. But I remember I really wanted to help people. I've always felt this calling, and I love the therapy side of hair. It's just, I physically, like, doing hair is exhausting. Like, even all my friends who still do hair, they're like, I want out. It's very common. So, because it's physically, mentally, emotionally draining. So I went back to school last year, and I took a class because I wanted to be a psychologist, because everyone said you have to have a degree to be able to go and do this, and half of it I think is bullshit, but it's whatever. But I took a class called Human Sexuality, and I swear, I feel like everyone should take that class, because it just normalizes being human, and it takes away feeling guilty for having certain thoughts. I remember it was just like to me, when it came to a male or female, it's like, I fell in love with a soul at one time. It's just like, I have a hard time with the hate on gay and all that, because some of my closest friends who are lesbians are some of the most genuine, honest human beings I've ever known in my life. And I feel sorry. I feel sorry for them. But I remember when I was taking that class, and even my partner really helped me, just kind of, it was for the first time I got to talk about all this stuff like I'd been through before I got my first marriage. And because if I'd ever talked about like dating a woman before, I got shamed a lot. And so it just kind of got like, oh, I don't know. I never got to fully process those emotions. And finally, like my partner sat with me and I got to talk about and process to the point I found my ex's phone number and I sent her a text. It had been like 19, 20 years, and I was just like, I'm so sorry for what happened. And I said, you didn't know I was suicidal. I said, you were so kind and loving to me. And I said, thank you for being that person when I needed you. And, it's one thing we can look at, like so many relationships, is like we have to be appreciative for what this person served, like their role in our life. And her role at the time when I needed that was beautiful. And she was like, thank you. I hope you're well. And she's like, yeah, I know your parents were really hard on you. That was really hard. And to the point, like, we actually had a second phone because my mom was looking at my bank account. She was looking at my cell phone, where I was going. Whew, it was exhausting. But anyways, like when I got to send that text message, like I cried. And when I heard from her and the kind response, I cried and cried and cried, because it was like I finally got to heal a part of myself that had so much shame and guilt, especially from growing up in a very intense Christian household. And it was like, oh, it was such a relief. And I feel like that was like another layer of healing, like these inner wounds. And so I've kind of keep progressing to lately. I'm like, all right, what else just makes me happy? Like what brings me happiness? Because especially like when you do Reiki, which y'all, sometimes it's a word, there is nothing, it is energy work. Please do not be offended or get like, yes, Christian, oh, I'm sorry. I love God. I love Jesus. I just feel like sometimes we put too many things in this tiny little bubble, and it's just like, just let people be. Like, just, my dear friend said this one time, and I absolutely loved it. She was like, have an open mind, like be curious instead of judgmental. And I thought that was so beautiful. Like apply it to every part of your life, and gosh, your life will be so much better. And so anyways, after healing so much of that, and just lately, it's I listen to so many YouTube videos. Like honestly, YouTube is the greatest thing ever. That I feel like I've just, I love YouTube. It has been my therapy at the time, because I just find these really great videos that inspire me. And then as one person I can remember, they're just like, yeah, like start doing things that make you happy, because the more you fill your own love tank, the more like actually everything just starts glowing and blossoming even that much more. And it's so beautiful, because you'll start feeling it. And then actually that's, it's like someone who's like, oh, I only attract shitty guys. Well, first of all, you probably had a shitty dad or something, and or like abusive or alcoholic. Like you can like you said, blueprint, that's all you know. So until you start working on yourself and start saying like, no, like I am worthy of a beautiful human being coming into my life, loving me. I am worthy of being adored. I am worthy of having a lifetime of happiness. And so, but that goes back to just filling your own love tank. And the more we can begin to start filling up our own love tank, y'all, this world is just going to blossom more and more, because then we're not going to be going through abandonment issues. We are literally breaking. I always say the World War II generation like totally fucked up human race, because there was so much bad negativity that, the trickle down effect of, just sweep it under the rug, or we resort to drinking alcohol, we resort to this or beating, and just it becomes normalized. And until I feel like nowadays people are starting to break generational curses. Praise Jesus if you are one of those people and this resonates with you, because it is hard. And I guarantee you, if you are the family member to break the generational curse, you've gone through some shit. So clap for your damn self. But it's beautiful. Like, my daughter gives me such a hard time for how many guys I've dated. And she's like, I will never get divorced. And I was like, you won't. Because I said, I've prayed for you to have an easy life. And I said, apparently I came into this world to do all this, to help break the generational curse, you know, for you to be you. I was like, you don't ever have to date. You don't have to marry. You don't have to have a kid. Because that was one thing too, being an only child. I got the pressure all the time. When are you going to have a kid? When do I get to have a grandbaby? And a big part of me, I either wanted none or one. That was it. I did not want one, and I mean more than one. And I was very blessed with my beautiful daughter. Absolutely love and adore Carly. She's my world, and I'm so grateful I had her. But I told her, I was like, no, you're like, I literally have prayed for you that you're only gonna have like maybe one or two boyfriends. That's it. Because I was like, you're gonna have an easy life. Because I said, I finally have gotten to love myself, that I don't feel like I need to project all of my shit and issues onto you. Now, I may vent sometimes, that's a little different, which we do have to be mindful what we vent to our kids. But yeah, if any of y'all have been recognizing of breaking these generational curses, dude, kudos to you, because it's fucking hard. Whew! I'm tired just saying that. So anyways, this is a really long video. I want to try to kind of wrap this up. I'm sure I'll have more videos. And that's also like why I'm putting this out there. Obviously, I've been financially dependent on my partner. And yes, we are separating. Now, I know he will help me. I'm not nervous and scared in that way. But I want to prove to myself I can do this. And also, like, y'all, this is the first time, like, I'm asking for help. Like, and if this video's like helped you at all and you want to help support, like, I'll put my Zelle or Venmo, but honestly, like, I want to do this. I want to be able to help spread love and help others, because it's not about fame. It's not about fortune. Money's actually has never really inspired me. My mom tried to like literally beg me to make straight A's for like pay money, but yeah, never works. So anyways, last few things I want to do and I'll wrap it up, but this is funny. So we'll say tap into your inner kid, feeling just like that love, like just, this is so fun. It's good to create. Because they actually say when you're creating, you're raising your vibration, which I'm a big believer in that, because it's forcing you to kind of like put off the outside world and just focus on like what you're doing. So I would say, like, I want to show this really quick. So we have some dear friends, Reagan and Delaney. They're good friends of my daughter. I love them. They're like my other daughters. And they came over the other night because I was having a bad night. And I was like, y'all, let's color. So it was really cute. We have this Bob Ross coloring book. And so what was really cool, they came up with the idea. So we cut it in, like, you can see it X, like 4 different ways. And so Carly had a piece, I had a piece, Delaney and Reagan. But it was really fun. We were at the kitchen table. And we put up, like, I don't know, blocks where like none of us could see what we were coloring. And of course we passed like markers and pencils. But what was so fun, it's, I guess one of them's not on TikTok, but it was like, oh, let's like see how we all match, you know? And the funniest thing, they like all turned to me and like, okay, Miss Psychologist, what do you say? And I'm like, oh, like this one's a rule follower. This one is structured, but she loves tapping into her inner child. Me, of course. And I was like, oh, this one, we've got to work out some things. And we totally just got bored and took out the mountains. And this one, I was like, oh, Reagan's very creative and very imaginative. So it was so funny how you can quickly analyze people with just their art. You can analyze them with their handwriting, whatever you want. But this is really great. I taped it on here, but you can take a coloring book, anything, cut it, like however many people, like do it with your, like your friends, your family. It's so much fun. Like shoot, like just, it's fun. Do this sometime. I love whoever came up with this idea, and you can do multiple. So, just a little inspiration. That's really fun. And you know what, maybe I thought about this too the other day, like even if you're by yourself, like cut 4 different pieces, but maybe like do one week and the other week. And when you put them together, you can kind of see like what you were going through at that time in your life and just kind of like reflect on that. So I think that's beautiful too. Maybe it's like a different season. I think that'd be cool. This cracks me up. So y'all have probably seen a lot of like adult coloring books and they look like this. Y'all, this shit gives me anxiety, and I am a detailed portrait artist. This, oh my God. If this is your thing, that's great. You may have a very analytical mind, but this stuff, all right, that, whew, okay, this is like a, whew, yeah, okay. If this is your thing, that's fine. Another thing, y'all, okay. Can I say one thing really quick about this? Can we ever talk about like the kids growing up in the 80s and 90s? Like this shit almost like ruined me. Like I love Disney Princess. Disney, you're great. I love you. Thank God you came out with Pixar and like Big Hero 6 and just like non-love stories. Like I swear, growing up, like being born in the 80s and this is all we watched. Oh my, like I actually felt more sorry for the guys. Like the expectations we have for you because this is what we were given. Like, I think all girls, if they ever watch these movies growing up, need therapy because this is not reality. This is not reality, but it's okay. If you want to color and you love princesses, that's great. It's probably because I was obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and my mom loved princesses. I'm not a princess. I begged my child to be like Bat, like, was it Catwoman or something? Or Batgirl. But yeah, you won't see me probably coloring this, but they are beautiful. So you can color that. But you know what I love more than anything? Honestly, like, because we have so much going on in our mind, I found this at Target. It's so simple. I love it. I love it. Let's see what we turn to. All right. Oh, y'all, a rainbow. I am such a rainbow girl. I love rainbows. Like, I don't really know why it got associated with gays. Like, I love rainbow. When I was little, everything I drew, the trees, everything was rainbow colors. It's kind of like our aura, our energy field. It's all different colors. Like, I love it. Just enjoy rainbows and colors. It's beautiful. So, what a dazzling rainbow. Oh, look at this. He's playing. And like, look, rain, which a lot of people are like, oh, rain causes problems. But like, appreciate all of it, the good and bad. So I love coloring books like this because it's simple. You don't have to overthink and you just color. If some of y'all scribble, like, whew, that's fine. But just find a simple coloring book. Have fun with it. I buy half of my markers. I love them. Like, from Marshalls or Ross. You can buy so many. I will recommend alcohol markers are awesome. They're a lot better for blending than washable, but I love that. My big happy coloring book. I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to like go color in this tonight or something. So yeah, make this norm. Make this normal. You know, shit. Have your stuffed animal with you. Be like, huh, God, like, whew, like I already feel this like weight lifted. Like you know what, that weight, huh? This, and y'all would seriously laugh. I have this massive, like, I have 2 really big stuffed animals, like, behind y'all to, like, it's like my therapy animals I'm talking to, so, okay. So, that's my recommendation on that. And you know what? Buy Play-Doh, it's great. Have fun. Oh, this is what I bought yesterday. I actually thought this was lip gloss. I was like, oh, it's lip balm. It's fun. Let's see what else. Oh, the other day, just something to like kind of remember like a happy moment. My child, I was at Target, the Rainbow Fish. I love this book. Anytime I see this book, I just go immediately back to when I was young because I loved, of course, apparently I have a thing for rainbows. Okay. I loved like the iridescent and you just like, ooh, like sparkles always make me super happy. So I love that. Just kind of these are just like little things to tap into, things that make you happy. Oh, yeah, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. Ta-da! To the point I almost wore a dinosaur costume doing this because I was like, that'd be amazing. And that would so be my humor. But I was like, I'll look nice. Maybe just the first one. So there's that. Second of all, because I am such a believer in sharing things that are really, really, really great products, I just have, let's see, 2 things I'll definitely share. Another thing too, because this Valentine's Day is going to be very different for me. So what did I go and do 2 days ago? I bought me this mug. And most people, especially after going through a breakup, you look at Valentine's stuff and you're just like, fuck you. But you're kind of bitter. But you know what? I'm like, I love myself. So what did I do? I went and bought myself roses. And I was like, oh, I love you, Celeste. And then I was like, oh, I love this. I'm like, oh, text me, call me. I just loved it. It just like represented love. And I love sending letters. And so it's like, hello, it like represented me. And I'm like, oh, I am really thirsty. So, pour love into yourself. Whether you're single or in a relationship, don't expect your partner to fill your love tank because no one is ever going to fully complete you. They just won't. They won't. So 2 things. I want to say this because everyone's like, God, your hair is amazing. Yes, I am a big believer. Stress is a big one. Stress is number 1 thing that makes your hair fall out. But my daughter found the most amazing shampoo and conditioner, and it was off. I think she's on TikTok. I just have to share this because I swear my hair has gone amazing. I do believe because this has castor oil in it, and my great grandmother swore by castor oil for healing. But it's this brand, y'all. You can go to. I'll hold it here, and I will share everything at the bottom. But there, you can buy this one bottle of $5.38, H-E-B, Walmart. The big jugs are on Amazon for 2 big ones for $16. It's funny. I have my hair license and I get 50% off, and I still hate paying a lot of money for high products. I don't like it. And maybe because I've had this single mom mentality for years that I've had to be more frugal. But I love this stuff. And y'all, my hair has gotten amazing. My daughter's hair has gotten amazing. Even my partner started using this stuff, which, I grew up using Nioxin, but this stuff is a bomb. Highly recommend. And I've been using it since June. Another thing too, if anyone, skin, I'm a huge fan of Lysine. I feel like so many people don't know about this, but if you've battled cold sores too, you might know about this. But I found too for acne or just, especially we're going through that 40s hormonal perimenopause. I'm a huge fan of Lysine. But on top of that, I think, I do want to do 2 little things really quick. But I'm doing this video because I'm not going back to school. It's just I don't have it in me. I'm a people person. I'm not a book person. I love reading, but by golly, it better capture my attention, or I'm going to be doodling a whole bunch there. But I really want to be able to, if anyone out there, if you're watching this, if you need someone for an event or something to come talk, speak, be inspirational, to teach anything, to help with healing. My spiritual side is, I'm very connected recently. My clairvoyance is really, really strong. So I love doing anything in that. And also too, I have this dream. I've had this dream forever. I've always wanted, if anyone out there has a connection at all, because I've tried multiple times mailing stuff in, and I just keep coming to crossroads to the point I just kind of gave up. But if anyone out there has the connection with Hobby Lobby or Mardell, or even Mark Green, I drew Jesus, which most of y'all know this, 9 years ago. And I love my little Jesus cards. The prayer on the back is a memory of my mom and grandmother. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is. And what I love about that, my mom always wanted me to do a scripture. And I was like, Mom, for non-believers, like, scripture's intimidating. And there are some things I don't know. I love a prayer. A prayer, you can hold a little closer. People are much more accepting of a prayer. So I love it. As a child, my mom and grandmother always said that prayer. So I put that on there. But I would love for this image this was my representation of drawing Jesus. And by golly, that's one thing I learned. You have to learn, being an artist, you have to learn to take constructive criticism, which is extremely hard as a human being. But I knew drawing Jesus, I had to learn to take the good and the bad equally. And when you can do that in all parts of your life, it's amazing what you can overcome. Because I remember I've gotten some hate mail on Jesus, and it came like right after my mom died. Whew, that was hard. But I was just like, not today, Satan. Delete. But no, it's just I don't even have a website of my art up anymore because I didn't care. This wasn't about me being famous. It was I don't even have my website, anything on this. This may not look like the Jesus that you think it is, but for the most part, it's just kind of this little opening of love and light that maybe sometimes in that moment just helps. And so all he was ever meant to do was to spread love and light in this world, because that's what Jesus came here to do. Jesus did not judge anyone. He was just like, he came here to love. And that is something I feel like humanity really needs to work on. And I hope, really cool, like over 10,000 of these have gone across the world. And most of this has come out of my pocket. So it would be really cool to have a little extra help come in with that. But closing out, I hope this video wasn't too much. If it resonated with you, if it inspired you, if you know someone else needs to hear it, if you could share it, that'd be great. Needing to find my path and purpose, and I hope something really beautiful comes of this. But I wanted to pull one card because I feel like maybe it's a card for all of us. Oh, here we go. All right, maybe this is what I'm saying. Wow, that was like a whole bunch. All right. Ooh, all right. I feel like this is for all of us, maybe. I don't know. Discovering right here. Which I love cards. You can use them for good. People say they're bad. They're not bad. It depends who the person is doing the cards, okay? So it says discovering. Release old beliefs and limitations. Open yourself to new ideas and endless possibilities. Embrace adaptability and the freedom to explore new perspectives. As you let go of the past, you unlock deeper layers of your potential and discover the expansive worlds within. I love that. Isn't that beautiful? So if you like cards, shoot, go buy you some cards. Just have fun shuffling. Just be like angels, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, higher being, whatever. Just be like, show me what I need to do, and have fun shuffling. And when like one flies out, be like, oh, that's mine. And that's for you. Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. There's, like, I am nothing but love and light. I do not do any darkness. I stay way the hell of it. I protect my energy. So I think that's what I'm going to wrap up. I don't think there's anything else I can think of. And thank you for being here with me. I hopefully, whew, I'm going to have to yeah, that was a lot. So anyways, I hope this inspires you. Hopefully gave you some, I hope you can practice that and start loving yourself. Start loving. Just go find stuff that makes you happy, because you're going to raise your vibration. And the more you raise your vibration, the more, I love a motto I kind of came up with. And I say it all the time, I glow wherever I go. I glow wherever I go. And, keep telling you that self. But I wish you love and light, and may 2026 be an amazing year for all of us, and God bless, and hopefully see you again soon. All right, thanks. Bye.